Page 81, Mary Ann. On the previous pages in the previous video we covered the scale of C major. The fingering for the scale, they're showing it on page 80 and the crossing the thumb under and all that. I cover all of that in the C major scale video, and I would encourage you to go do the beginner portion of that video. Do the accents and the wrist action and the stuff that I cover there. I prefer to use that approach. You're welcome to use this approach too. It's just I like the other approach better, and that is I don't use the written music so much to approach scales. I concentrate on the keyboard and the fingers and what's going on here. As far as Mary Ann goes, at the top of the page they're covering the chords for C major, two very important chords for C major, and that is the C chord, or the C major chord, and that is a chord with a triad with C on the bottom. Very important. Do it in both hands. Doesn't matter where you do it. Just and then the G7 chord, and they show it to you. For now, just memorize these notes. Those are the notes used in it. We'll get into more about how it's constructed and where it comes from and all that junk a little later. Just right now, that's it. Very important chord used in C major. In Mary Ann, the left hand is using these chords. See at the beginning, for the left hand you have that C chord. Just put your hand in the position for these three notes, these three fingers, and you just lower the hand down. Let the weight of the arm and the hand push the notes down. Try and get them down at the same time. I'm not too good at that, but you try to do the best you can. Then in the third measure is the G7 chord. Again, you put your hand in that position and lower the hand. And if all goes well, they go down at the same time. So for Mary Ann, let's cover this 4/4 time. We got treble and bass clefs again. In the right hand, you're starting out with third finger on E. That's going to put your hand in C position. That's fine. You got half notes and quarter notes. You got some tied notes. You're going to hang on to those, I hope. Look at the last line here. It starts out okay, and that's tied. You're going to hold it down for 6 counts, and then in the third measure you're here, and then in the fourth measure you got to reach down with your thumb here. You're actually in this position where your thumb is covering 2 notes. This accommodates these chords. That's really what we're doing. So there, your thumb's down, but you don't move the hand down. Leave the hand where it is, just the thumb. Then your thumb on the C's at the end. That's all. The left hand has the chords as we pointed out earlier, plus occasionally another note. And you can figure that out on your own. So work out and make sure you can play these hands separately, and then try to put the hands together. Here, your C position, then you're going to play the G and the next note, and then the next measure. So just work this out very slowly, both hands together. And when you can kind of do that, try and do it with the rhythm. Counting, you can go as slow as you need to go, it doesn't matter. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now this seems really slow, but we have to because we got quarter notes. Now if we play this fast, then when we get to the quarter notes, they're too fast. So think about how fast everything needs to go, and that's how fast you need to start. And when you're first learning, that has to be slow. Go real slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lift up between the phrases in the right hand. There's no phrasing in the left. Just play the left hand as connected as you can. But in the right hand, lift up between these phrases before you go on, so we get a little silence. Dynamic wise, it's medium loud, and that's the only thing they give is medium loud. That's the melody. That's this. So the left hand has to be soft. Now on the measures where the left hand has words with the notes, like the next to the last measure of the first line, it's Marianne. Those, because if there's other people singing, they can sing those notes and those words. You can play those notes a little louder. It's like a counter melody. You get the same thing in the next line, third measure here. You can play those notes a little louder, say a medium loud or a medium soft. Then in the last line, there's two measures down there where the left hand has words. Play those about a medium soft. You can play them a little louder if you can. Now it takes time to gain this kind of control, so do the best you can. I'd like to explain why I keep saying off at the end of all of these play with me's, because we get to the end I say off. The idea with rhythm and with counting is that a beat has a certain length of time it lasts. Could be a short, could be a long one, doesn't matter. And when you have one beat after another, one beat ends when another starts. They join each other. So 1, 2. So one ends right when 2 starts. So one has a period of time, and then 2 has a period of time, etc. Well, whenever you're counting 1, 2, you hold the notes down for the full length of the beat, or however long. At the beginning, we have half notes here in the right hand, so I hold it down for 2 beats. That means the next note comes on beat 3, because the first 2 beats are for this one. 1, 2, 3, and that lasts for 2 beats, so the next one comes on beat 1 of the next measure. 3, 4, 1, 2, and that's how the rhythm counts. Well, when you get to the end of a piece, there is no next beat. At the end, in the left hand, the last measure is 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no 1. There's nothing after that. So people will tend to cut the last note short. They'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and think, okay, I held it 4. No, you held it 1. You didn't play beat 4. You came up on beat 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. See, I came up on beat 4. I got to hold it down through beat 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you'd expect, well, there's a 1. There isn't a 1. It's the end of the piece, and that's why I say off. That represents the beginning of that non-existent beat afterwards. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, off. That's all that off is for. I'd like to play this with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do any dynamics or anything, but I'm just going to do the notes and the rhythms and the phrasing. So I'll give us 4 counts. Let's try this out. Put your hands in C position. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3,